Have you ever wondered what would happen if the United States decided to invade Greenland? It sounds like the plot of a blockbuster movie or a video game, but the idea isn't entirely pulled from thin air. So, let's dive into this wild hypothetical scenario. What would a US invasion of Greenland actually look like? And what would the consequences be? First, why would the US even want Greenland? It's not just about ice. Greenland is a geopolitical gold mine. It's packed with rare earth minerals, which are crucial for everything from smartphones to military hardware. As the Arctic ice melts, new shipping lanes are opening up the fabled northwest and northeast passages. Controlling Greenland means having a major say over these future trade routes. And let's not forget, its strategic military location. During the Cold War, the US built Thule Air Base in Greenland, which is now Pitafik Space Base. It's a critical early warning radar and satellite tracking station, perfectly positioned between North America and Russia. So, the motives are clear: resources, trade routes, and military advantage. Now, let's get to the invasion itself. The military operation would likely be swift and overwhelming. The United States military is the most powerful in the world. Greenland, on the other hand, has no standing army of its own. Its defense is handled by Denmark, and the Danish military, while capable, is no match for the full might of the US. The Danish presence in Greenland is minimal, consisting mainly of a small Arctic command responsible for surveillance and search and rescue. A US invasion force could likely secure key locations like the capital, Nuuk, major airports, and Pitufik Space Base within hours or days. We're talking about a scenario where the physical resistance would be negligible. The real battle wouldn't be fought with tanks and fighter jets. The immediate aftermath would be a global political firestorm. Invading Greenland means attacking Denmark, a fellow founding member of NATO. This would trigger Article 5, the Collective Defense Clause, which states that an attack on one member is an attack on all. This is the cornerstone of the alliance. For the first time in its history, NATO would be faced with the situation where its most powerful member is the aggressor against another member. The alliance would be thrown into an existential crisis. Would countries like the UK, France, and Germany side with Denmark and declare war on the United States? It's almost unthinkable. The political and economic ties are too deep. More likely, NATO would be paralyzed in fracture, possibly collapsing altogether. This would be a massive geopolitical victory for adversaries like Russia and China, who would love to see the Western alliance crumble. The United Nations would immediately condemn the invasion. The UN Security Council would convene, and resolutions demanding an immediate US withdrawal would be proposed. Russia and China would have a field day, painting the US as a rogue state and a hypocrite that preaches international law while violating it. The US would likely use its veto power to block any binding resolutions, but the damage to its international reputation would be catastrophic. Decades of American diplomacy and so-called soft power would go up in smoke overnight. Allies would no longer trust US security guarantees. Countries around the world would see the US not as a protector, but as a potential threat. Economically, the consequences would be severe. The European Union, led by an outraged Denmark, would almost certainly impose crippling sanctions on the United States. We're talking about a massive trade war between the world's two largest economic blocs. Financial markets would plummet. Global supply chains would be thrown into chaos. The US dollar's status as the world's reserve currency could be threatened as countries scramble for alternatives. The global economy, already fragile, could be pushed into a deep recession or even a depression. The cost of the invasion would far outweigh any potential economic gain from Greenland's resources, at least for decades to come. What about the people of Greenland? There are only about 57,000 of them. They would find themselves under foreign military occupation, while the US would likely try to win hearts and minds, promising investment and prosperity. The Greenlandic people have a strong sense of national identity and a growing independence movement. They wouldn't simply accept being the 51st state. We would likely see a sustained campaign of civil disobedience, protests, and nonviolent resistance. An underground independence movement could emerge, potentially leading to a low-level insurgency that would be difficult for the US to suppress. This would be a public relations nightmare, with images of the mighty US military policing a tiny indigenous population broadcast around the world. And what about Denmark? A small nation of less than 6 million people. It would be in an impossible position. Militarily defeated, it would turn to its European and international partners for help. The Danish government would become a symbol of resistance against American aggression. Diplomatic relations would be severed, and the historical friendship between the two countries would be shattered. The Danish people would feel a deep sense of betrayal. Inside the United States, such a move would be incredibly divisive. An unprovoked war against a democratic ally. It would spark massive protests across the country. The political party that initiated the invasion would face a huge backlash from the public, the media, and likely even from within its own ranks. The military itself might have a crisis of conscience, with commanders questioning the legality and morality of such an order. It could trigger a constitutional crisis, unlike any seen in modern American history. So, in the end, what would the US gain? It would control Greenland's territory, its resources, and its strategic location. But at what cost? The collapse of NATO, its most important military alliance, its international reputation in tatters, a global economic crisis, and a resentful, occupied population that would resist American rule. The US would find itself more isolated and less secure than ever before. The geopolitical landscape would be fundamentally altered, with China and Russia rushing to fill the power vacuum left by a discredited America. The invasion of Greenland, intended to strengthen America's position, would achieve the exact opposite. It would be a self-inflicted wound of epic proportions. A classic case of winning the battle but losing the war in the most spectacular way possible. It's a fascinating thought experiment that shows just how interconnected our world is, and how the post-World War II international order, for all its flaws, still prevents the world from descending into a simple might. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this geopolitical deep dive interesting, please hit that like button, subscribe for more, and let me know in the comments what other what-if scenarios you'd like me to explore. See you in the next video.